Well, most of us have heard of the Oak Ridge Boys and William Lee, the gentleman with the beautiful, long, flowing white beard. Well, music is in William's family, and his son, Rusty Golden, is my guest on this episode of The Best of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
You need to see this. It's
something that'll change the world and human life as we know it.
He knows. He's seen the light.
When Monty talks, it's painful.
Monty, you have been so instrumental in kind of pointing me in the right direction.
It was about looking at your character defects in spirituality.
It's the integration of clinical practices with the 12 steps.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of energy, and sometimes when you don't have so much energy, he picks you up and carries you.
Having the Monty'man there certainly helps.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Now here's that guy who's getting less popular minute by minute, your host, the Monty'man.
Well, greetings, recovery family. Those of you who are in recovery, those of you who are advocates of, and perhaps some of you who should be, welcome once again to Take 12 Radio here at take12radio.com on your internet dial, broadcasting to you and for you from the outskirts of beautiful downtown Albany, Oregon. How the heck are you? It is just an awesome privilege to be able to broadcast to you guys. We're in our 11th year of broadcasting now, and I just want to thank you. I want to thank you because without you, we'd just be talking to ourselves, and I did that for enough years as it is. It is just a privilege, and I want to welcome you to email us anytime you like. Our email address is take12radio, that's the number 12, take12radio at comcast.net. You can subscribe to our YouTube page. We're on all different social media websites, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, all of them. And visit our main website. If you're listening on YouTube right now, the few of you that do, most of our listeners are clicking on the download MP3 link. But for those of you who are on YouTube, please take some time to visit our website at take12radio.com. You can spell out the number or the word or the number. It'll take you to the same place. So listen, I want to tell you right away, before we do anything else, that the Recovery Northwest Project is coming up in September on September, I believe it's September, I'm going to say September 5th. Yeah, September 5th at Clark Community College in Vancouver, Washington. And it's huge. It's a big deal. The Hands Across the Bridge ceremony from Vancouver to Portland is the largest site of the Mississippi. Celebrating sobriety and a return to sanity with the alcohol and drug-addicted recovery community. And we want to make sure that if you are in the area that you come by the Take 12 Radio booth, we'd love to see you. We're going to be broadcasting from there. That is the Recovery Northwest Project. You can visit their website at recoverynw.com, and they're in the process of updating things. So type in your contact information, and they'll let you know as soon as everything gets updated there. It's a free event. Don't miss out. All right. On the show today, I love it when we have recovery recording artists, particularly ones that are members of the faith community, because when you link recovery music up with the power of God, you've got something to behold. You really do. And my guest this week is just that. He is a recovery recording artist. He's a member of the faith community. He loves God. His name is Rusty Golden. And you may recognize that name. You may not. His father is William Lee. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. But Rusty is going to be sharing with us his experience, strength, and hope, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. And most importantly, 4 songs from his CD, Sober. And I am really proud and excited to introduce to you my new friend, Rusty. Rusty, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Monty. Hello, everybody out there. I'm Rusty Golden, and I'm talking to you I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
And Nashville is just a huge place for music. Is it easy to get lost there in the music community?
The music, as far as the professionals who really make the music, the musicians and the songwriter community is really not that big. The music business part is not that big. It's a pretty close-knit community once you get down to the songwriters who write the songs that everybody knows, and the musicians who play on the records that everybody hears on the radio, the record companies, which aren't, if anything, the record companies there's so fewer of them now. It's a conglomerated business. Everything is, there used to be 8 to 10 major record labels. I think they're down to 3 or 4 now.
And the music in Nashville isn't just limited to cowboy music or country western music like a lot of people think. True?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's been that way for years. But to some outsiders, they think that the stuff that is like its own country radio nowadays is, to them, it's hillbilly. But I mean, if you're here and you don't even hear hillbilly music on the mainstream country anymore.
Right.
There's more. Well, anybody that knows what's going on country radio as far as mainstream country nowadays knows that the beats and there's a lot even of hip hop to it. And I mean, I'm telling you, there's some old school fans who really take offense to the new. But I'll be honest with you, my father, William Lee, he's a member of a group called the Oak Ridge Boys, and I remember back when they were just starting out. They were a gospel group when my dad joined them.
Right.
Dad joined them in 1965, and they got as big as you could get in that sort of gospel. Around 70, 72 was really there when they were big in the gospel arena. And then in 77, they crossed over into country music. And I remember even back then, some of the hard line, what you call the old school country artists and fans, they took offense to the Oak Ridge Boys back then. I mean, it's hard to believe now because the Oaks were just inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
And they're members of the Grand Ole Opry, so they're definitely mainstream nowadays. But back then, they were sort of progressive and edgy. They didn't wear cowboy hats, and they didn't wear the rhinestone look that was sort of popular back in that day.
Right.
Had more. So anyway, I've seen this before where what's hot right now on the radio is despised. what you call the purists.
Yeah, and there were even members of the faith community that were a little upset with the Oak Ridge Boys, right, when they crossed over?
Absolutely. I mean, the Oaks they were having a hard time. I mean, gospel wouldn't touch them, and the thing is, they were too gospel for country, and they were too country for gospel for a couple of years, and it was really tough on them. I mean, when that is your problem, you can't get any bookings, and the ones you get are just so few and far between that they were really having a tough time. And I was really up close and personal with them, traveling with them and helping out, doing whatever. I even sold T-shirts for them.
And you wrote some songs. Did you not write some music for the Oaks?
I had songs with them after they became country.
Right.
Absolutely. I had 2 songs on Bobby Sue, the follow-up of the Elvira Fancy Free album.
Now your dad, so people know you kind of can picture your dad in their mind. He was the one that was sporting the ZZ Top look, right?
He still does.
He still does. The big long beard, yeah.
That's right.
So that's William Lee. So before we get into your story, do you have a favorite Oak Ridge Boys story that's a favorite of yours?
Well, a favorite story, just that. Listen, they deserve everything they've got. We played. They were having such tough times during those starving years of like 75, 76 were really tough on them. And there was probably 14 people crammed on one bus, but those were the best times. There was really, they made them, they wouldn't take anything for those hard times that they went through. I don't know. I mean, there's time. I've been around them since I was 7 years old, so I've seen it all and heard it all, and I love every one of them. I'm so proud of them for where they, I mean, just the fact that they were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame and are members of the Grand Ole Opry is really, that's the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
In the business of country music.
You bet. Well, you have been no stranger. I'm gonna name drop here. I'm gonna do this on my own for the listeners. Rusty is a humble guy, and he's not bragging at all. So I'm gonna brag on him a little bit. But some of the names that you've been closely associated with, and I won't go into detail about every one unless you want to mention something, but things like Capitol Records, things like Polygram Music, people like Jeffrey Steele, Kid Rock, Leonard Skinner, Elton John, the word Grammy, that just shines out. You've been nominated for that. You've been given the Song of the Year award. I could go on and on. There's just a whole lot of people that you've rubbed shoulders with and that you've been associated with over the years, and some wonderful accomplishments, but things weren't always like that. There was a period of time where something happened to you that kind of threw you into a dark space. Share with us what was going on.
Well, I'm a child of the 70s. When I was 16 in 75, 76 era. So that's when I first started smoking pot, which was, I was young, and that was sort of the thing to do. I was hanging around a crew. When things started getting, by the time I was 18 and 19, I had already tried cocaine. And I remember when I first had my, it's funny, I'm hearing this old drug, the name that's just now coming back on into public consciousness, which had disappeared for so many years, is Quaaludes.
Yeah.
And but I've been hearing that word here lately, and I won't bring up how I'm hearing it, but everybody knows. Anyway, but that I used to love those things. I mean, I'm going to go ahead. I hate to, I have a problem that I found out when I was in treatment that I have had, and I try to watch it, but I really I have a problem sometimes romanticizing some of my usage, and it's because they're really, at the first part, it was really fun, and they're just but it didn't take me long. But the pills, I liked them too much. I liked them too much that by 20 years old, I was in the hospital having my stomach pumped, and from barbiturates, and and that happened. And if anything, it straightened me up from the pills. but man, it really, just even from overdosing, it didn't slow me down from, I didn't quit drugs. I was 20. Things started I quit pills, though, for a long time. And, but I started recording, major records, and stuff with, at 23, I think, is when we had our, record deal with, that was Asylum Records, and we were a group that I was with. We were recording an album. It was a pop record, and the coke scene was around, but I was maintaining with that stuff. I went on and on for years, trying to straddle the fence of not getting too out of it, but still doing drugs. Liquor was never really a problem for me. I never really liked it, so I never did much of it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, something about drugs, it became, I look back on it now, and it was really a love affair for me. It's hard to admit that nowadays, but I need to, because it's true. It's like, I love the way they make me feel, and I spent a lot of my time making sure that I didn't go, that I had them,
Yeah.
Always wanted to make sure I had, and so it was an obsession and a love affair that I had. Well, decades went by, 2 more decades. But when I was 42 years old, I had to go in and have a quadruple bypass. When I come out from that bypass, they put me on 3 months of oxys.
Right.
To just for the pain. So I went home, actually down to my mother's house to recuperate from a quad bypass with 3 months worth of something that I really loved. And when the 3 months worth were gone, I went back to the doctor, and he was asking me how I'm feeling and everything. And the addict in me told him, I said, well, I've still got pain. So he gave me 3 more months worth of oxy. So that's 6 months worth of OxyContin. And at that point, it was really, I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
I knew I had a bad problem because I really, until I went into treatment, I always was on pain pills then.
Sure.
It was just on, that's another 10 years more. Now I'm back on pills, and this time it's pain pills.
Right.
And that was, it was a dark place in the way that I'll tell you, you mentioned I was writing, after I come out of the hospital, when I got back home from my mom's, a friend of mine, Jerry Sally, who's a big songwriter himself, he was over at the house. We were talking about writing a song, and I knew he had some gospel success, like number ones, and he was asking me, he says, have you ever thought about writing a gospel song? I said, well, I never have written one, but I said, I don't think it'd be hard because I really grew up around that. I forgot to tell you earlier that when I was 12, I played with a group called the Rambos. That was Dottie Rambo. And
the Rambos. I know that name.
So I did that when I was really early. So I was really around it and played it when I was a kid. So that really was the music of my youth. My family has got, to this day, we've still got on the Golden side, have got our own Pentecostal Holiness Church that my family attends. The family that's down in Alabama all attend,
Yeah.
So that the music, that sort of music, though, that sort of gospel is something that's really in my DNA, which takes me when Jerry asked me would I want to write a gospel song, easy for me to want to because it would have came easy to me, and it did come easy, and so did the success of that song. It was called John and the Jordan, and was a huge gospel #1 for a group called Ernie Haas and Signature Sound. And that was the first of 4 #1s I wrote. Had 3 more #1s, and 2 of those were songs of the year. You know, and
right.
So I was having success in it. I won Songwriter of the Year, but Monty, I was messed up, man. And I felt guilty about it. I mean, I wasn't so out of it that my heart wasn't weighed heavy with it. You know, I prayed, I went to church, but I was still on pills. You know, it's like I felt the guilt, man, and the guilt there were times when it just made me take more. Well, it finally got, the dark time is really what the Christmas of 12. I'm out at my brother's house, and my mom and my brothers are there, and the kids. And something about me is when I'm around family, I never had anybody tell me that they could tell I was on anything. I guess that's another reason it was easy for me to skirt by all those years.
Sure.
If nobody ever said, "Are you on something?" or anything like that. And I've even when I told some of my really closest friends, I said, "I've got a problem." When I told them I was going to rehab, they said, "For what?" They were totally shocked, and half of me is like proud that I never got out of it, that they could tell. But then the other half is like, it's not good that they couldn't tell. That tells you how bad I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I promise you, I was taking enough to put many people down.
Right.
But anyway, back to the Christmas thing. My family, they could tell because they really know me. And something about me, I used to have a problem about like taking extra when I go around family functions for whatever reason. And I get around the family, and I just didn't want any. Anyway,
right,
family things, but they could tell, and my brother asked me, he says, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave, man." And he says, "The kids are asking what's wrong with you." And my mom she said I was nodding out, and they thought that my mom says, they don't know what somebody with a stroke looks like, and to me it looks like that's what you got, the way you're talking and acting.
Right. You bet.
And so that was a big thing for me because I'm really close to the family. I've never wanted anybody to be upset with me. I'm a people pleaser to a fault, and I love my family unconditionally. And for them to be upset with me that was like a bottom. I mean, I didn't have to end up in jail.
Yeah.
That was plenty of a bottom for me to be asked to leave the Christmas family time,
Yeah.
That was a bad hit for me.
That's pretty rough.
Anyway, that I had a couple of relatives of mine had gone through a treatment center out in Oklahoma. A friend of my father's and mine from back in the 80s had gone through this treatment center out there, and it's a Christian faith-based treatment center. And that a couple of other relatives of mine ended up going through that same place. And I just knew, when it came time to be offered for me to go out there, I took it. And that was on February 23rd is when I got there. So my sobriety date to this day is the 24th of 13. And that's how I got to rehab.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, but I definitely, I'm so glad I went,
I am too, brother. All right, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we're gonna talk about this CD, Sober, and we're going to start listening to some of Rusty's music. So, folks, don't go away. More with my very special guest, Rusty Golden, when we return.
Free by the Sea is a drug and alcohol recovery center located in beautiful Ocean Park, Washington. This facility is amazingly gorgeous, but what's even more impressive is the integrity of the staff and the treatment provided for those wishing to recover from drug and alcohol addiction. The folks at Free by the Sea have a passion for presenting the solution to addiction for you and your loved one. To speak with an admission specialist, call toll-free 800-272-9199. That's 800-272-9199.
Hey, look! Running around in the meetings, gobbling up gallons of bad coffee, flapping his gums wherever he can bring a smile to a hurting face. It's Slogan Man! We know cute little platitudes and sayings on the wall in a 12-step meeting won't keep you sober, but they sure will make you think, consider, and even laugh your way through an otherwise crappy day. Can't wait to get to your home group to hear those slogans over and over and over and over again? No need to. Pick up a copy of the 12-Step Gazette and join the adventures of Slogan Man. Visit www.12stepgazette.com and subscribe today. Slogans and platitudes are no substitute for working the steps, but Slogan Man is very cool.
This is Jerry Vandiver, and you're listening to Take12Radio.com, recovery talk and positive music.
Well, welcome back, friends. My guest is Rusty Golden. Listen, after his health problems in 2002, Rusty had become dependent on prescription pain medication. It led him to seek help in a treatment center called Rob's Ranch in Oklahoma. It was while there that he began performing songs for other clients and their families. It was obvious to everyone that there was something powerful in the material and the soulful way that Rusty was performing. He then began to plant the seeds for the album project that he began working on in September 2014, along with producer and engineer Scott Baggett, a studio full of some of the most celebrated musicians in the world, and songs from Nashville elite. The result, the recovery-themed album called Sober, was released on 5/15/15, and we're going to be playing 4 songs from that CD. Rusty, this first song called Out of My Hands, tell us about this.
Okay. You actually had a pretty good rant there about exactly what happened. It almost sounded like you were reading it from a bio.
It could be.
I'm just playing with you.
I know.
Like like you were saying, there was a piano out at that ranch, and there's a chapel there. And every morning during the chapel, I got to sing I got to do a couple of my gospel songs and I did that every day, for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
But along the way, I was asked, the counselors would ask me to play a song, maybe like during group, or there was the family weekends. They would have like prayer for the families, and before the family weekends would start, and they would ask me to play a couple of songs, and so I did. I would play maybe one of the gospel songs, but I had been working on Jeffrey Steele. You had mentioned him earlier. I had been working with Jeff for about 10 years, and Jeff's one of the absolute top songwriters and artists in Nashville. And Jeff had sent me, while I was in treatment, sent me a demo of his of a song called Sober. So I had learned it, well, while I was in treatment, I thought, man, I know so many of the biggest writers in Nashville, and even though I am a writer, I was just wanting to hear what some of my other friends might have. Well, I put out the word to them, and one of the writers would be Bob DePiro, and Bob, with a friend of mine named Bart Allman, Bob he wrote one of the big songs that the Oaks had called American Made. My baby is American Made.
Right.
And he's written other big songs like Out of the Blue Clear Sky, George Strait, and he's just had a ton of Daddy's Money and all these huge hits. And I've known Bob a long time, but I sent an email to a bunch of my songwriter friends, and Bob being one of them, to send me if they had any recovery themed type songs. And the thing is, that's such the opposite of what anybody in country is wanting to hear. It's the opposite. They want drinking songs, weekend drinking and more drinking with tailgate and hot pants.
Right.
It's gotten down to a common denominator of just drinking songs. Nothing. Everything sounds like spring break,
Yeah.
But anyway, there are some great writers did have some songs that weren't getting recorded, and that's where I found some of these great songs that I think were just great, that fit perfect on this album project. Because after seeing what was going on with the families after they would hear these songs, I was watching it move on them, and I'd see tears. I'm going, the Lord was showing me, like, look, Rusty, this is what's happening. You need, there's a place for all kinds of music, and this is what's touching people right here. And the Lord worked on my heart about that. And I did a lot of praying about it, to get the songs and to get a project off the ground that was like this, And it's something that my heart is all into, and I think there's a place for it. Out of My Hands is one of the songs that I got, and it's from Bob DePiro and Bart Allman.
And this song is going to move you, my friends, especially if you have somebody in your life that is struggling with active alcoholism or addiction. I promise you, hold on to your seat. Here is...
And that's the one thing about this song is, I think it's the only one that might come from the angle of the parent.
The parent, right.
That I'm talking about the loved one. So that's the cool thing. I watched this one really work on parents' hearts, So that's the one thing I loved about it. It was kind of second person, if you will.
Here's Rusty Golden singing Out of My Hands.
Just the other day, he just turned 17. Second time in rehab, it's more than just a deep sad. I tried, but I could not keep him clean. One hand hanging on the end of my rope, family in pieces and my spirit broke. I reach out to my maker, I whisper, I surrender. Hear me please, I'm on my knees, that's all that's left of me. All my navigating and my best laid plans are just like grains of sand pulled out of my hands and into his. I told my wife the only way we can help our boy is one day at a time. And I can only pray that he will find his own serenity. If I could, I'd give him all of mine. 28 days is a pretty good start. Hope is alive again in my heart. I reach out to my maker, All my navigating and my best laid plans are just like grains of sand poured out of my hands and into his. I'd fight the devil if he just stands still, but I know he never will. So I reach out to my maker, I whisper, I surrender. Hear me please, I'm on my knees, that's all that's left of me. All my navigating and my best laid plans are just like grains of sand poured out of my hands and into his. It's out of my hands. Whoa, it's out of my hands. I said it's out of my hands and into
Out of My Hands, sung by my guest Rusty Golden. That is a powerful song, man. Ye gads. Wow. It really helps us to realize how powerless we are without God's help. True?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a friend who says, one of my co-hosts on our Wednesday show, that says, if I'm powerless and you're powerless, 0 plus 0 is 0.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Well, this next song, Sober, this is also the title of the CD. Tell us about this, Rusty.
Okay, it's really there's two songs that were really like the cornerstone first recovery, the only two recovery songs that I had to play for a month or so while I was out in treatment. Where the first one was Wine into Water. My buddy T. Graham Brown wrote that one, and I'm sure you've heard it.
You bet.
It's it's one of the best faith-based recovery songs I think not only has been written, but will ever be written. It's really a perfect song. The way that the twist on the title works in the chorus as a songwriter. It's the old school way of what they used to call the Nashville twist.
Mm-hmm.
Twisting that title, it's just so perfect. And I miss that way of writing. And I love that song. It's just a great, great standard to me.
Yeah.
And then when I reached out to my buddy Jeffrey Steele, Jeffrey, I want to mention, he's written like so many big songs. One of his biggest is a group called Rascal Flatts, had one called What Hurts the Most that Jeff wrote, which was really big. But he's also had like 5 other number ones by that group. All their biggest ones were Jeff's songs, and he's just a huge writer. Jeff sent me his demo of Sober out to while I was in treatment just for me to listen to. Little did he know I'm taking it and learning it to play it for group and stuff. And, some of the counselors that were there, I feel like I need to say their names real quick because they did so much for me. Bruce Kopp and Bill Anderson and Mark Vickers and Dennis Madden. These guys put their heart and soul into this place out in a little country town called Purcell, Oklahoma. And I thank God every day for those guys, really.
Amen.
But Jeff sent me this song, and I learned it, and it's a lot of people's favorite song off the disc. I tried to do a bunch of great songs. I want every one of them to be strong, but this one seems to stick out a lot for people, and I'm so glad it's hitting and resonating with folks. And it's Jeffrey Steele written and Rusty Golden performed. Here we go, Sober.
All right.
I've been trading all my friendships for favors. I've been looking through bottles for saviors. I've been driving right into bad weather, praying for rain and playing the blame game. I was always out there working the angles when I should have been here looking for angels. And I'd give anyone who'd listen more than an earful about my cruel world. Took quite a big stumble to get back to my humble place. Had to watch it all crumble a year ago today, but I got sober and I got over myself. I traded lying and crying and dang near dying for holding the ones I love in life. I know God got a little closer when I got sober. I ain't preaching about no high and no mighty. I just got sick of all the lows and all the why me's. I keep the past around, but only to remind me to look over my shoulder every chance I get. And when I bump into the old me, I help him find his words and apologies from the very first worst gone wrong, right up till the day that I got sober. And I got over myself. I traded lying and crying and dang near dying for holding the ones I love in life. I know God got a little closer when I got sober. Some people gonna judge me for my mistakes, but I know I gotta judge myself by every single day that I'm sober, that I'm sober. I've been hanging around some pretty good people. I've been finding grace and trying to be grateful. And I find days when I get shameful and tearful. But I'm sober. Yeah, I'm sober. It took a while to get here. Now I'm clean and sober.
Rusty Golden, Sober. I'm hearing steps 1 through 12 through that entire song. Folks, don't go away. More with my guest. We got 2 more songs to listen to. We'll be right back right after this.
As men and women who have recovered from utterly hopeless states of addiction ourselves, we know all too well what it's like to battle addiction daily. We are Origins Recovery Centers. Here at Origins, we have taken that which we have learned along the way, excised anything unhelpful and unnecessary, infused it with the latest medical research and innovative therapeutic methods, and created what we know to be the absolute gold standard in substance abuse treatment. And Origins provides the most preeminent aftercare and relapse prevention program available in the United States. For a free confidential clinical assessment, call toll-free 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Men, women, and their families experience tremendous pain and suffering due to the struggles they face from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. They need to find a safe place for peace and healing. Therapia Addiction Healing Center was born out of a deep desire to provide that safe and powerful healing environment. Therapia exists to help people recover from addictions by developing and maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships with God, self, and others. To speak with an addiction specialist, call 1-855-652-4325. That's 1-855-652-4325. Or visit our website at www.therapia.net. Therapia Addiction Healing Center, restoring lives one step at a time.
Hey guys, this is Richie Supa, and you are listening to Take12Radio.com, recovery talk and positive music.
All right, welcome back, my friends. You've tuned into Take12Radio.com on your internet dial. My guest this week, Rusty Golden. You may recognize his name. William Lee is his father. The extremely talented, really long bearded gentleman of the Oak Ridge Boys. But Rusty is an artist in his own right, and not always do our kids follow in our footsteps. I will tell you though, Rusty, that my son Colin is a musician extraordinary. You put any instrument in front of him, he can play it, and he's 17 years of age. And my other son Cameron, who is now married and lives about an hour from us, he's going to love this interview because he is a country freak. He can't play it, he can't sing it, but man, he can listen to it all day long. He's just going to really appreciate your music. And of course, my talented son Colin just appreciates music like crazy. So I really want to thank you for carrying on the music tradition, of your dad and the love of the Lord, and taking what could have been your biggest problem and turning it into your greatest asset. I mean, what a wonderful gift to be able to give away this whole recovery thing and through this music. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, my brother.
That means so much to me. I really appreciate it. That's really what I want to do with it. I have got to I've got to turn it all around and make it just the best thing that ever happened to me, to go through all the mess that I did, because I want to help people the way I've been helped.
Sure. And you're doing that. Listen, folks, Rusty's website is rustygolden.net. And you can follow the links here on Friday's page. If you want to get now, can they get your CD at your website? How can they do that?
They can get it on the website. If they would like it, going to the website, they can get an autographed copy. It lets you know how to get an autographed one. Mm-hmm. If they would like a hard copy, and of course if they want to download it, it's on all the main download, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. It's on all the main players in that genre.
Right, great, awesome. Well, folks, do not miss out on his website. Now you've got some recovery stuff on that website too, right?
As far as
you had emailed me about some recovery page.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not. That is not on the website. It's actually a Facebook page called Rusty N, just the letter N, Recovery. Is a Facebook page with there's almost 2,000 people, and it's not that old. It's just my, it's like a lot of the a lot of the recovery pages, it's full of, daily affirmations and quotes and pictures and articles, and it's my recovery page.
Okay.
It's whatever I'm kind of digging on that day, and I really try my best. I'm pretty good about doing something every day, and sometimes more than once a day. I definitely maintain more of that recovery page here of late than I do my other two Facebook pages.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to put a link to your Facebook page, Rusty in Recovery, as well. So, folks, if you don't remember that, just go to the link here at Take 12 Radio. All right, Rusty, Ain't No Friend of Mine. Tell us about it.
Okay, this is a friend of mine named Chris Wallen, another big-time songwriter here in town. Man, let's just let the song do the story, because I don't want to give away what happens.
All right, here we go. Here is Rusty Golden from his CD Sober, Ain't No Friend of Mine.
Had a girl who really loved me. You convinced me that she didn't. That night I didn't come home. You told me it'd be alright. Turns out it wasn't. When I got back, I found her gone. You ain't no friend of mine. When I was 17, you made me feel like a man, a little bit cooler than I really am. Till Mama smelled you on my breath. Introduced you to my best friend Mike. 2 years later, he let you drive. It was all your fault, but I still blame myself. You ain't no friend of mine. You ain't no friend of mine. When I found you, that's when I lost myself. In the bottom of your bottle's where I fell. You promised heaven, but you put me through hell. You ain't no friend of mine. No, you ain't no friend of Had a talk with God today, me and him and all my mistakes. We both agreed it's time to say goodbye. 'Cause you ain't no friend of mine. When I found you, that's when I lost myself. In the bottom of your bottle's where I fell. You promised heaven, but you put me through hell. Now you ain't no friend of mine. No, you ain't no friend of mine. We lived and laughed and cried, but you ain't no friend of mine. No, you ain't my friend.
You Ain't No Friend of Mine, Rusty Golden. Hey, Rusty, is that you on the piano?
Absolutely, yeah.
Man, dude, that's awesome, brother. Good job. I've always been very envious of people that can play the piano. I dinked around with the guitar for a while, and but man, yeah, that's beautiful.
You know, I was telling you that I played with the Rambos when I was 12. Well, back then I was a drummer, and when I was 13, I went to see Elton John, and it was in 1972. It was right around the time Rocket Man came out, and seeing this guy, this rocking person, because I wasn't, you know, my dad's age remembered the Jerry Lee Lewis, and there wasn't anybody who came out in the rock arena in between Jerry Lee Lewis and Elton John. You know, I don't count Liberace,
right?
But you know, there just wasn't anybody doing pop rock music that I would like, and I really can't think of anybody in between the two. So when I saw Elton John, I'd never seen anybody doing that sort of music that played piano. And it wasn't that I could play, but watching this guy, and he was just an awesome entertainer back then.
Yeah.
He's great nowadays, but I mean, back then he was a wild man. And to get to see this guy jumping up and down and kicking his legs out and hopping up on top of the grand and just going crazy. I knew then I saw this guy do that, Elton, and the next day I put my sticks down and I started teaching myself how to play piano and teaching myself. I loved Elton John's songs, so I started learning his songs from his records, just taught myself how to play. My brother picked the sticks up, and he is a phenomenal. Chris, my brother, played the drums on this album.
Wow.
And anyway, but that's when you said the thing about the piano.
Yeah.
That's when I started. I didn't always play piano, and that was what made me start playing
what did
in Elton.
Well, this last song that we have is called Hollow Man. And this is a great way to close this out because we are almost out of time. Tell us about Hollow Man, Rusty. And
it's really cool. I had reached out to, like I did all these songs that you're hearing. I only wrote one song on this album because I was just so knocked out. I went through about 300 songs to pick the 12 other. I wrote one. There's 13 songs on the album, so I wrote one. The other 12, I was just so knocked out with them up out of the 300 I listened to. But anyway, I two of my friends, Larry Shell and Tim Williams, I sent both of these guys separate emails telling them what I was looking for as far as recovery-themed songs, and neither one of them knew that the other guy had sent the same song they had written together.
Wow.
And it was just the one that Kim wrote, Ain't Going Down to the Sun Comes Up, the Garth Brooks, and written a bunch of songs. He's just one of the big ones. All these songs that on the album are really stellar written songs because the guys that write them are just some of the best we have in
Yes, they are.
And I'm so blessed to have them as friends of mine that I could reach out to and get. Anyway, it's kind of cool the way they both sent me that song and didn't know that the other one sent it and all that kind of stuff. And to me, it's a gospel song. And that's that. I wanted to tell everybody out there, though, how much I really appreciate you, Monty, for letting me do this interview with you.
Absolutely.
And I hope everybody out there finds happiness and peace. And if they're struggling, to look to the Lord for help. And if they need to get help by somebody else, man, that's all good too. Help is help. And the Lord's in the miracle working business too,
Yeah.
And always has been and always will be. I pray every night and every morning and during the day, just like my grandfather did. I'm all time going, help me, Lord, help me, Lord. So it's a thing with me, And but I just really appreciate you, Monty, letting me do this.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful. I'm finding out the hard way that finding people like you that do what you're doing to even play and talk to me and play these songs. There aren't very many of them, especially somebody that can give me this much time and play that. And it's just hard, and you know that.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that you're out there for whoever might be listening that might need you right then, just like I do. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rusty, so very, very much. Here is Rusty singing Hollow Man.
Something missing. I wondered what it could be. Though I was rich enough to buy the world, it was just a barren land. 'Cause way down deep inside of me, I was a hollow man. Vessel, just longing to be filled. Threw in houses, cars, the moon and stars, but I was empty still. Why couldn't I be satisfied? No, I didn't understand. I had a God-shaped hole inside of me. I was a hollow man. If your life is built on worldly things, you're headed for a fall. 'Cause the most important thing in life, it ain't a thing at all. You better do some thinking, get a brand new master plan, till you're filled with love from God above. You'll be a hollow man. I was an empty vessel, just longing to be filled. I threw in houses, cars, the moon and stars, but I was empty still. Why couldn't I be satisfied? No, I didn't understand. God-shaped hole inside my soul. I was a hollow man. Now when His will I am fulfilled, no longer a hollow
Rusty Golden from his CD Sober. That song is entitled Hollow Man. You can visit his website at rustygolden.net. Rusty, I was thinking about what you were saying about how difficult it is to really penetrate our world today with God and recovery, especially both of them mixed in. We live in a world today that's all about, serving self and being man-centered. And, you don't have to watch 5 minutes of the news to see where we're going. And it's hard to get into the doors that we need to get through to get to people. I mean, I struggle too. I've been doing this 11 years and we're nowhere near where we need to be as far as people being aware of Take 12 Radio. And so having people like yourself with the caliber of music and a talent and your passion, primarily your passion for God and for people that are hurting, helps to break down those doors. A lot of people, they love what we do, but they don't know that we're doing it. And,
that's right.
And it's like trying to get past the secretary, assistant administrator to finally get to the guy that can call the shots. It's crazy hard. And yet I know who's really in charge. And brother, what you're doing is touching many, 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 many people. And I remember Walter Cronkite said years ago that he was in broadcasting for almost 20 years before he ever got a personal letter.
Wow.
So we just got to keep trusting, don't we, brother?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a while. I'll never forget what you just said about the Walter Cronkite. Whenever I ever hear his name again, I'll remember what you just told me.
Yeah, in the biz, almost 20 years from the time he started, whatever that was, as an intern or whatever, all the way to to the end of his career. 20 years before he got a personal letter. That just blows my mind. It makes me just think, well, maybe there's some hope there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So any last words for the listener, Rusty, before we go?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
Any last words for the listeners before we sign off today?
I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate them listening to you. It's a wonderful thing. I want to know that people are out there listening to you because you need to be heard, my friend.
Oh, bless your heart.
Thanks to you. Really, thank you so much. I'm so, when I'm finished this project, and then really that's when my work started, because now how do I get it out there?
Yeah.
I'm starting to do I'm looking online. I'm sending them to rehabs. I'm sending them to, it's hard to find many. We had already talked before off the air about finding radio stations that say recovery music, and then by the time I get it to them, I find out, well, they've been shut down for a year.
Yeah.
So anyway, to actually have somebody call me back like you did and set something up where I'm actually doing something. There's another one. There's a man out there named Garrett Hart with Rock and Recovery out of Akron, Ohio, that's been also on my team as far as playing my stuff and adding it to their. But you've got a thing where we do interviews and stuff, and theirs is mainly just music.
Right.
But I thank God for them too. Just something to help me help somebody if I can with my songs, and so that's what I'm here to do. That's what the Lord put me on earth to do, is to try to help people. And he gave me the gift to do it. And thank you so much for letting me do that with your station.
Absolutely. It is absolutely my privilege. And listen, give your dad a hug for me. I've been an Oak Ridge Boys lover since day one. I'll
be with him all weekend. We're going to go to a family. We're going to a family reunion together, and I will be
that would be away
from no social media. We're going to be way out in the middle of nowhere with no Wi-Fi.
Hallelujah. Well, Rusty, thank you so much. Folks, don't forget his website, rustygolden.net. You can follow the links here on Friday's page. This will be posted on all our social media sites. And you can download this to your PC or your smart device. Just right-click on the download MP3 link, and you can have a copy of this for yourself. Please pick up Rusty's CD. It'll help. It'll help promote people getting returned to sanity. That's what this kind of music does. And listen, if you're in the recovery community and this is the first time you've ever heard any kind of recovery music, well, you've heard some of the best right here at Take 12 Radio with my guest, Rusty Golden, and his CD Sober. RustyGolden.net. All right, my friends, until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man along with my guest, Rusty Golden, and we're wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.